Dear audience, welcome to TR 724. Today we are joined by Professor Ides Nicaise from Leuven, one of the top universities in Europe. And he is the senior research manager at HIVA, Research Institute for Work and Society. His main research area is social policy, focusing on the relationship between education, labor market policy, and social inclusion. Today we will talk about Fethullah Gülen, his passing away, and some possible implications for the future of the movement. Mr. Ides, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
As you know, Fethullah Gülen passed away on October 20 in the US. He was in exile for many years. Even though he was a controversial figure in Turkey, center of the controversies in Turkey, he was also a prominent figure, influential one, and really respected by many around the world. So his death naturally made headlines, and of course will have an impact on the movement itself and on many other issues. So firstly, what are your personal thoughts and feelings about Fethullah Gülen's passing? What was your first reaction to the news of his death, and personally, how will you remember him?
To begin with, I feel deep sorrow for his passing because he was really a world leader, a religious leader in the first place, and someone I would compare to the Pope of the Catholic Church. I think he was good friends also with Pope Francis because they both hold the same values of love, understanding, tolerance, peace, interreligious dialogue, priority for the fight against poverty, commitment to the social well-being of society, open-mindedness. Those are all values that we share between, say, the Catholic Church and the Christian Church in general, and the followers of Fethullah Gülen. And I think in this way, he was the leader of the most modern stream of Islam in the world, and I think this is the movement that the Western world in particular can embrace. So I think he's very important, not just for the Muslim world, but also for the rest of the world. I'm speaking mainly for the Western world, but I know that he was influential also in many, many countries in Africa, Asia, Latin America as well. An extremely important figure. I forgot to mention democracy in the first place, which is very important for the Turkish community. I see Gülen as a very moderate politician, a center figure who had a very positive influence in Turkey until Erdogan took over and changed his political tendencies. In that regard, I hope that one day democracy will return, and that the values proclaimed by Fethullah Gülen will also be revived in the Turkish society. I very much hope so, not just in Turkey. I also hope that the passing of Fethullah Gülen will be, a motive for the European Union and for Western democracies to insist again on the need for more democracy and the respect for human rights in Turkey. I think Europe did not do enough in that regard. I came to know the movement, I would not say incidentally. There was an incident in an Antwerp school where the headscarves were being banned, and that school paradoxically was known to be very open-minded and a promoter of active intercultural dialogue. I was very surprised at that time, and I reacted in the press to that ban of the headscarf. And that was the occasion when people from the Lucerna schools in Belgium contacted me and wanted to know each other and to collaborate. That was my first contact, because I am teaching in, the Department of Education Sciences. I'm very much committed to, equality of opportunity in education. And I know how important it is to be tolerant towards, wearing religious symbols in schools. If one school forbids it and another school accepts it, that leads to segregation, and that's unacceptable, I would say. So that was my first contact. So I came to learn the Lucerna schools and then learned about their ambition to prove that young people of migration origin were able to perform as well as the native Flemish students, despite the fact that in reality in many Flemish schools, unfortunately, people with migration background perform less well. So they wanted to prove it, and I could testify that, after, 10 years of operation, the Lucerna schools really managed to demonstrate it. Their students moved on to university, obtained diplomas, became also leaders in their community. And that opened my mind also, and it intrigued me to know more about the secret of their strategy. And the secret is very simple. It's just the importance that you give to education as a means for emancipation, and the investment that the whole community is prepared to do, including parents, including the sponsors of the school, including also the alumni who return to schools, testify about the possibility to break through in education, to obtain a good diploma, etc. So that was my first contact. And then a few years later, I was invited for a journey to Turkey to know the movement a bit better and to get in touch with other branches of the Hizmet movement, including humanitarian support like Kimse Yokmu, and the schools in Turkey, universities as well, and Sufism. So we visited places that are common to the Christian and the Muslim origin. It was a journey that deeply impressed me. So I became befriended with people from several branches, of Fidaxio, the Belgian branch of Hizmet. And that friendship lasted until today. Love, tolerance, and commitment to society. Obviously, there will be a lot of sorrow and enormous respect for Fethullah Gülen and gratefulness for his legacy. Maybe it will be also a motive to, get more trust and self-confidence, because the movement has suffered a lot, and for that reason has also, to some extent, become more cautious in engaging with the rest of society. That is a very difficult position, and it will not fade away immediately. But I hope that the passing of Fethullah Gülen will also encourage people to stand for their values and to withstand also all the oppression and the criticisms that are formulated elsewhere in society. What I also find very important is his view on the value of science and education in particular. He sees no contradiction, quite the contrary, between religious values and the value of education and science. In that sense, he differs also from other streams in the Muslim world and in some other religions. His emphasis on education as a leverage for emancipation and for, growth of humanity is very important. And that is something we also cherish at universities, of course. Yeah, even, the Western Europeans and Flemish people in particular are to some extent poisoned by the hate speech against the movement. I was a bit indignated when I saw on TV a documentary on short documentary on Fethullah Gülen on the occasion of his passing a few days ago, and where a professor from Ghent told that Fethullah Gülen in reality was a proponent of bold power politics. I was very surprised to hear that from a university professor. Apparently, he has a very superficial view on Fethullah Gülen, because all the things that I read from Fethullah Gülen are quite the opposite. He is in the first place a religious leader. For the last quarter of a century, he has been living in exile. He has withdrawn from the public sphere. That is not at all power politics, let alone bold power politics. Obviously, Gülen had a political message, but that's different from power politics. He also trained, and his movement trained people, civil servants and other people, to assume a leading role in society. But that is not power politics. That is, building capacity for a democratic society. That is very different from what Mr. Lesage called power politics.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome.
Besides our reflections, I truly appreciate your time and your responses for this interview. Thank you so much.
Thank you.